So I'm going to go into a little bit of a story about how I met the Arhuaco. So this is Rafael. Rafael is my Arhuaco brother. He came to me one day when I was in Bogota. I was with my friend Luz, who started a company called Paz Mi Pez. It was a movement towards peace during the peace dialogues in Cuba when the government was trying to make peace with the FARC, which was an anti-establishment group in the jungle. And they were, they'd caused the civil war in Colombia for 60 years. They were part of the drug trade. They're part of Pablo Escobar's life, right? So this was like a historic moment where her movement actually influenced people to vote for peace, because it was a choice. It was like, do we agree to the terms of peace, or do we keep trying to negotiate something that makes more sense, right? Because a lot of these FARC people, leaders, got to go free. Anyway, Rafael was there, and she invited me to speak about the energy work because I met her when I was moving through South America, and she, this was before she ever developed this company. So she thanked me for somehow helping her in that way by introducing me to him, and we became friends and stayed in contact here and there. But it wasn't until a year later till this happened, where there was this wildfire in the Arhuaco territory, and he called me and he's like, we need funds, we need to rebuild. So I said, okay. I was training for a triathlon at the time, so I didn't have any money, but the triathlon was like a means to say, hey, look at me, I'm doing a triathlon for them. So I told the story of the Arhuaco, and I raised like $2,500 for them, and I sent it to them, and he said, you have to come down and meet our territory now. You have to come visit us. So this is my triathlon stuff. Yeah. And then, so I go to their territory, and the nearest village to their territory is this small village called Pueblo Bello. It is the closest village that has like a normal Western kind of infrastructure to it. So you see guys dressed like this just hanging out on the street. So it's kind of like this portal where it's transitioning into like the higher land of like the Arhuaco. So like they're out hanging out, maybe having a beer or something, just like kind of shooting the shit. And in Arhuaco, so they speak Arhuaco. They speak Spanish too, but Arhuaco is their primary form of communication. And I started to leave Pueblo Bello, and you start to follow this trail up into the mountain in the Sierra Nevada. So you have the municipality of El Cesar. The closest major city is Valledupar. So you can fly there from Bogota. You can fly them from Cartagena. It's a city. It's like an urban city juncture in Colombia. And then you move up to Pueblo Bello, which is a smaller village, which is in the municipality of El Cesar. And then you get on a motorcycle or a horse, and you start to head up into the villages. And the villages are remote. There's different sects of it where they're all farms, and they're all sustainable farms. This is the kind of what you will see as you're driving up, if it's like a moto taxi, or if you're in like a large Rover car. Stuff like this. This is like the mountain area. And like there are moments where I'm going through this place and I'm just like, this is the most beautiful place I've ever been. And I sit there and it's just this glowing aura of land. You could just feel the energy of it. It's really magical. So as I started to go through, there's kids everywhere, just like hanging out, joyful, and they're all wearing white. And you see like these villages, these little landscapes that you pass by, and it's almost like a portal you're going into. And this is when I didn't know where I was going. So when Rafael invited me there, I had already been doing energy work where I work with people one-on-one, and we do like similar to like Reiki, where I had transmissions and stuff that would come through, and I'd help my clients. But I worked with my teacher, my first teacher. This woman named Catherine. She was like, no, you need to go and do this because this is part of your gift and your destiny, because you can move a lot of energy and you need to be able to do that at another level. So that was when she helped me meet them. And I started to integrate their practices, but I had no idea where I was going. And all of a sudden I found myself in a crowd of Arhuaco like this, right? Because I'm this white guy from New York, right? Showing up on all of my whiteness. And they're like, they look at nature, they look at the clouds, they look at the sun, like when there's a sunset and it's a certain color, it's communicating to them something, right? Or if there's an animal, if there's a bird, like these are forms of communication between Mother Nature and our ecosystem. So when a white guy shows up from New York, they're like, what does this mean, right? So they kind of were like, here's the microphone, like how'd you get here, right? So at first they kind of brought me what they called their spiritual church, which was between some trees and on some rocks like this. And they threw down some coca leaves down to make the offering. And they had me take a seat. And each leader of the village, right, there's different sects, there's different hierarchies, right? And there's mamos and there's, the families. But each mamo spoke and said what they wished to do for humanity. What did they want to do? How did they want to share the word? They spoke about their family. They spoke about their children. They spoke about what they need also to be able to share this word, what they need in the energy exchange of it. And they spoke a lot about just their education and sustainability and being able to create a living, making a comfortable living for themselves, right? Where they have all of this produce, they have all of these amazing products. They just need the infrastructure to be able to bring them to the markets where we could really benefit for them, where we see the value in them, right? So they told me all of this. This was like 6 years ago. And as they're talking to me, my entire body is trembling. I could feel the energy moving all the way up my legs into my body. I'm like, why am I so nervous? I thought it was because I drank coffee earlier, but it was because they were doing energy work on me through the land using their poporros. All right, that is a poporro. That is a hollowed out gourd, and it's full of cal, which is pulverized seashell. And the stick is for them to paint the sides. So they are constantly chewing coca leaves. The coca leaves secreted juice, and they mix the juice in the cal, and then they start to paint the side. And this is how they resemble the masculine and feminine converging into the word. And that is how they weave. That is how they create these energy points, just like this, where they'll sit for hours and hours and hours and days and days and days and millennia doing this work, activating the land, opening the spirit of the earth, opening the hearts of the earth, which is where they live. El corazón del mundo, right? That is the heart of the earth. That is the beating life force of Mother Nature with their presence and their caretakers, right? They're the weavers of our spiritual connection to the ground. My presence here in the U.S. as an ambassador for them is to be able to share this cosmology, this mythos, in a way where people who feel called to connect to them can meet them and spend time with them and learn from them just by being in their presence. When you're there, you feel a radiant energy moving through you that's extremely intense, but it's also clearing out all of your energy meridians, and it's charging you up and giving you all of these insights where you move through so much in a short amount of time. And we work with one particular elder, Mamo Felix, who's in this picture, he's to my right over here. He is like 6 foot something, like big guy. And he's the head mama of a region of over 25,000 farms. Powerful. I had done ayahuasca a long time. Well, at this time, it was maybe 4 or 5 years prior. And the first vision I had with ayahuasca was that you don't need this. You can do this without using anything. And then I go and I meet him, and he sat down and put me on one of these ley lines and told me all of these things that I needed to think about. And I started having visions as if I would take an ayahuasca. And I was like, oh my God. It brought me back to that first time I had Mother Aya. And that meant something to me. That meant like, oh my goodness, we can actually get there just through energy, right? I've since returned back to plant medicines, and I'm so grateful for it. But at the time, I had a lot of blockages around integrity and working with the plants in a way where it wasn't too much, right? So I had stepped away, and I was able to get to these heightened states through the Arhuaco and through their guidance and through Mamo Felix, who's always with me. He's my spiritual father, if you will. So that is Raphael and myself. That is Nabusima, where Mamo Felix lives, where we'll be going for the retreat as well in December. This is just some shots of the village, of, like the architecture of the Arhuaco, and where, when you stay there, you stay on the ground, like sleeping on the ground or in hammocks. And all the kitchens are just out on the land, and these huts where they cook the most delicious food that all comes from the land. Let's see here. Just some more huts. Just kids everywhere, like doing silly stuff and messing with each other. It's just hilarious. Like if you step away and like the grown-ups are talking and hang out with the kids for a second, they're hilarious. Let's see. And this is Sering. So all of this to weave it all together, the energy work that we're doing here is it's kind of like a precursor to doing these retreats with the Arhuaco, where we can start to ground more energy for them here in the U.S. and start to build an outlet for them to come and visit and stay with us, and start to create a huerta or a garden where we can work with other spiritual practices. And for example, this is Sering. She's Tibetan elder. She was actually a refugee when China started to attack Tibet and try to take their sovereignty away from them. But she connected with one of her elders, her grandmother, who was a spiritual leader in Tibetan community where she lived, and she started to channel and do energy work and do healing work. So all of a sudden she found herself into our fold and is working with the Arhuaco and is going to be at our retreat facilitating a fire ceremony. So I guess that's part of Hindu practice, I believe.
Even the Buddhists have a Jinsek practice, especially Tibetan Buddhism,
where
they will do like 4 directions,
yes.
4 elements of different fire pujas. Fire pujas, Jinsek is the sort of Tibetan name.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, so she's really special. I love talking to her, and I are just like this amazing, like weird combination of energy workers. But let's see here. This is Diana. She's Colombian. She has a retreat space in San Augustine. So San Augustine's another mountain, super active, very powerful. She's like also a biologist, and then she is an herbalist and teaches yoga. This is Gabriella. Gabriella is from another planet in the best way. She is all about the angels. She loves the angels. She is like, oh my God, Archangel Michael, duh, like duh. And then like, just like Peter, shut up, you don't know anything. And she just like goes in. She's like a Luna, honestly. Yeah, she's awesome. She also connected me to the Putumayo. So she's from Ecuador, originally from Cuenca. And she connected me to Taitaleo. Taitaleo is Kofan, and he is currently working with the Arhuaco to reconnect culturally with the people from the south and the people from the north. So the people from the Sierra Nevada are the people from the north historically and in the indigenous lineage, and then the people from the Putumayo and the Amazon are from the south. This reconnection is a historic thing that we're trying to facilitate, and Taitaleo he doesn't use social media. Nobody knows about him really like in the way his teachers taught him, where he doesn't broadcast himself in that way. But when we connected, we did a whole meditation where we connected to our breath. He grounded into the ley lines that we've been working with the Arhuaco, and I said, what do you think? And he's like, let's do it. So he's working with Gabriella right now to facilitate a yahe ceremony. Yahe is another word for ayahuasca on the Arhuaco land. So it would be amazing. It will be amazing and historical and powerful to have that whole experience unfold there. This is Joey, my boy Joey. He's from Staten Island. He's the reason I know Aluna. He connected me to Aluna. He works with Nana Marina, who is the Mayan elder that I had before show you the pictures. He's been working with her for a long time. He is a DJ as well, facilitates ecstatic dance. He has his own like vibe in New York, where he's got a giant community out there, where he's also sharing about the retreat. He's my brother, love him. He's going through it just like all of us men. All of you women are fantastic. Us men, we're a little quirky and awkward in terms of the healing work, but he's pure and he's honest and he has the best intentions, and I love that presence being with him. Having like a really wholesome crew to work with makes me so happy. And then Nana Marina's work. So we'll be doing cacao with him on the integration day on the 4th day of the retreat. So yeah, you guys are here to be my kind of pilot in a way, where I want to present you to the website I built around my healing work, So it's called Alinea Healing, where I have, session packages of how I work with people. I have my multimedia where I have meditations and stuff. I have my blog around a lot of my experiences that go in depth around plant medicine and integrating the awareness of energy into that. And then I have the Real Humans of Healing work. So the Real Humans of Healing work is an integrated initiative with my buddy Haig over here and Taj. The Real Humans of Healing work came to me after I watched this kind of docu-series about the subcultures of New York City, where you get into like trans and you get into like the gay culture, AA meet, like all this underbelly of society that nobody really wants to pay attention to, but in such a loving way where like you may like cringe at some of this stuff, but then all of a sudden you start to feel the love of what's actually being broadcasted through a lot of the series. I loved this series. I was talking about it to Haig. Haig has seen it too. He loves it. I told Taj as well. And then one day I was at Nana Marina's ceremony. I was telling this guy about the series, and this guy Jeremy came over. He's like, "Oh yeah, I helped fund that series." So Haig and I have been in conversations with Jeremy to bring one of Haig's projects into fruition.
And seeding
Yeah.
more of this type of project.
Yeah, but this whole thing is basically
What's the series called? Sorry.
the series that he worked with is called High Maintenance.
High maintenance.
Yeah, I'll send all the details on our shared thing. But this is something I wanted to say where like, we did this whole meditation. I find that when I connect to someone and really listen to them, their energy becomes my energy. We're able to create a loving, energetic embrace where there is no separation. In the same spirit, I believe we can connect to different people in the world that will allow us to do the same when we commit to this place of solidarity. To all of the healers and people in the healing arts, I want to give you a platform to share your story in however you feel desired. It could be a song or a mission statement or just a loving story about how you came about into the space of healing. In the spirit of connection, integration, just let it flow, and the work will be whatever is most resonant to you in the moment. Aho. So that's my buddy Marty. The thumbprint just like picks the worst shot of people, but he's one of like the sweetest people. He's from Colorado, and he was our first post. But yeah, if any of you guys feel called to share in that way, I'll post my website online for you to do that and to think about it, and we'll keep the conversation going. And then again, I'm going to go through the retreat stuff with you guys just real quick, just so you see the options that we have. It's 5 days. The first day, technically it's 6, including the arrival day. And then it's everything I went through. We'll be doing everything that I talked about where we can go into more depth. But yeah, this is the team. And we'll be meeting the Arhuaco, working with Mamo Felix. Working with energy helps us build a strong community when we come back home. And then to the package deal, like all the pricing and everything that I'm doing, the money goes towards the housing, the infrastructure alterations for transportation, food, and facilitation with the Arhuaco tribe and all of the other practitioners that are there, right? All of that, all of the money that we charge for the retreat it goes mostly to the community and the people that are facilitating it. And then it's also allocated to the tribe to build that infrastructure I was talking about, for them to export the Sasha Inchi seeds, for them to export coffee, for them to buy back their land so they can reconnect to their sovereignty. So we have people in Europe and we have people here in the US that are already building those supply chains, but we need money to work with that. So the retreat and having people come is a way to do that. Package details, the full price of it is $1,900 to come for the 5-day experience. It includes transportation to and from the village, both from the airport to the village. It includes all the food, all of the energy work and stuff that we're doing with the Arhuaco and all the practitioners, Sering, who's going to be there, and then Taitaleo when he does the Yahe ceremony. Kind of a historic thing. So we have 2 options. You can book your experience and pay the full price, or we can do a payment plan at $700 for 3 months. So 3 payments is $700. And it comes out to $2,100 with the payment plan. So it's a little cheaper to pay it all up front, but we also do give you that option. But yeah, I wanted to go through all of this so you understand the the full facet of everything that's going on in this world. We want to be able to help the Arhuaco, and we also want to include ourselves in that process because the healing work that they facilitate is amazing. It's fantastic. And the experience is just nobody knows about the Arhuaco. It's very, very unique. Because that was the first thing that I think, Malene, you said or was it Malene that you said you didn't know these people? You've never heard of the Arhuaco? Yeah. Most people have no idea who these people are, right? And that's for a reason. They protect themselves. They only let specific people in. You can't just show up there. You have to come as with an emissary, somebody who brings you out there and facilitates the whole experience. So